Welcome to iRISE Digital's tutorial on WordPress. This is the 11th video in our WordPress tutorial series. My name is Ruben Maldonado, and in this video we will be discussing a multilingual WordPress website. The website that you see here, irisedigital.com, is not a multilingual website, but I have worked on one for one of my clients. So we'll be using their website as an example on how to update a multilingual website. So first of all, before we get into how your administrative backend works with these types of websites, we have to explain a little bit about WordPress itself and how you can get multilingual websites. So let's cover the folder structure. We are going to use a program called FileZilla. FileZilla is a file transfer protocol program. Basically what it does is it connects to your website server and it links your computer to that server, so you can move files from your computer to your web server. So on this side here we have my local files, which are on my computer, and then here I have my live files, which are on my website or my website hosting. I have several different websites on one hosting account. I have there's a folder for drtyrellc.com. We have esperanzahope.com. We have irisedigital.com. We have lancasterantiqueshop.com. And there's a website, cindy-ruben-wedding.info. So basically all these websites are contained in these folders. So let's get into the Esperanza website itself. Okay, so up here, if I click on this one, basically what we're seeing down here is everything inside that Esperanza 2 folder. Okay, minus the Spanish, all this other stuff, WP admin, WP content, WP includes, and all of these other files, they basically is an installation of WordPress into that folder. Okay, so the way that websites work is that I register a domain name and then I point the domain name to a specific folder. So the domain name actually points to this Esperanza folder, and then which are all these files here, and then it looks for index.php or index.html. Now this index is what the file that you're that is being searched for when someone types in your URL. Okay, so a little more technical than what you may need to know if you're not a web developer, but that's basically how your website gets viewed. Someone types in the domain name into, or the URL into their browser, they hit enter, and then it goes to a server or a web server, and then the web server has a list of these domain names, and it says such and such domain name is in a folder located on this website server inside this folder. So it goes to the folder and it finds a file, and boom, it sends those files to that person's computer, and there they go. They see your website. So the way that a multilingual website or WordPress website works is that you actually have to install WordPress more than once. Okay, so I've created a folder called Spanish, and then in this Spanish folder, if we click on it, you'll see exactly the same thing as WP admin, WP content, basically all the files that make up your WordPress website. So you have one installation of WordPress in the main folder, and then inside a subfolder called Spanish, you have another installation of WordPress. So you have two WordPresses installed under one website, under one domain name. Okay, one parent domain name. So let's leave this here for now, and let's go to the multilingual website of my client, and let's I'm going to discuss a little bit about the multilingual website. Okay, so basically I already have it set up where you can switch from English to Spanish. Just by clicking one of these, it switches over from one language to the other. I won't show you how to do that. That is a little more technical. This video is just going to show you how to update content in one language and then make it link back and forth to the other language. Okay, so let's go ahead and click Espanol or Spanish. And that you'll see once we do that, now we have the domain name, instead of it being esperanzahope.com, it says spanish.esperanzahope.com. So what this is doing, it's actually going to another domain name or a subdomain of esperanzahope.com. So this subdomain is actually pointing to this folder where it says Spanish, and it's gathering the information from this folder. Versus if we were to go back to English, I'll just hit the back button here. Now if we go to English, what it's doing is it's gathering information not from this Spanish folder, it's gathering it from the main parent folder of Esperanza, minus the Spanish, because it's not linking to anything inside this folder. It's just using all these other folders and files to show you the content in English. So all the content in English is here, and then all the content in Spanish is actually inside that folder, which is another installation of WordPress. So that's very important to understand, is that when you have a multilingual website, is that you actually have two installations of WordPress that can be totally different from the other. One may have certain menus. Some of them may have, if you click back and forth, it may not have any menus. It may not have the same sidebars. So whatever you do in one language, you basically have to duplicate it to have the second language show what you wanted to show originally in the first language. Let's go into the dashboard. So the dashboard works a little differently with the multilingual website than it does with the regular website. So if we click, this is the dashboard for the multilingual site, and then this is the dashboard here for the regular one language site. If we were to click on iRISE Digital, you see it says Visit Site. If we were to go on the multilingual site where it says My Sites, now you have two. It has Mental Health Clinic, which is the name that I gave for the English site, and then Clínica de Salud Mental, which is the Spanish translation of exactly this thing. So here's one website, and here's a totally different website. So this is one installation of WordPress, and then this is the installation of WordPress in the Spanish folder. One thing that these, once you set it up this way, it links one thing together. So if you wanted to click on Network Admin, and basically under Network Admin, now you have themes, plugins, settings, updates. Okay. So basically for the two websites, the Mental Health Clinic and this other website that I had set up, so the two installations, the English and the Spanish, they share the same themes, they share the same plugins, they share the same updates, they share the same settings, so, and they share the same users, I believe. So they share all these items. What they do not share is, if I were to go into Mental Health Clinic, which is the English version, they don't share the same sidebars, they don't share the same pages, they don't share the same posts. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that if you want to work with your plugins, you have to go to the network admin, and then you can deal with the plugins here, where if I was on a strictly one installation of WordPress, I can deal with my plugins directly here. You see how if I hover over plugins, and now we have this drop down menu. If I were to go to the multilingual website, and I'm actually working on one of the WordPress's administrative backend, when I hover under plugins, that pop-up menu doesn't show up here on the side, because with the multi-site WordPress installation, you deal with the plugins by going to the network admin, not just right off the side. So that covers basically most of the really high technical information, and the rest is going to be pretty self-explanatory. So let's go to pages. Okay, I believe this is a page that I have not translated yet. So say this is your page in English. Okay, we go to translate post. And I will update. Okay, now once we have translate post. Okay, here it says choose preview language. We're going to go ahead and choose Spanish. And it copied everything over. You see where it says resources up top, and then it has all this stuff here. So it copied everything and pasted it onto a page called resources into the other WordPress installation, the Spanish one. Now if I would have to change it, recursos instead of resources. And if I wanted to, I can go ahead and change these into Spanish, but because these are official names of community-based services, I will leave them as is. But you can go ahead and take out the text and replace it with the Spanish translation or English or whatever other language translation and replace it there. And then I would go ahead and publish this. So now that it says My Site and it says Clínica Salud Mental, we actually switched over from working on the mental health clinic, and it automatically switched us over to working on the other WordPress installation, which is the Spanish installation, and it moved us over into the other version or the other installation of WordPress. So just keep that in mind. It's pretty tricky, but once you get the hang of how this works, then everything should just flow together. I'm going to go ahead and work on this menu. Now I don't have resources there. I can go ahead and add recursos to the Spanish menu. I'll go ahead and save this. And let's go ahead and view the Spanish. Okay, now you have recursos up top, which is the link we just added in. And the page that we just added, here it is. So you would still have to do everything you needed to do on the English side. You'd still have to add in, you see how this has the top there? I would have to add that in as well, so that it can look exactly the same. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up. I know it's going to take you a while to actually dabble in it yourself, do some clicking, do some trial and error to get the feel of how a multilingual WordPress website works. So this is Ruben Maldonado signing off with iRISEdigital.com, and see you on the next tutorial.